When I'm Not Podcasting is back for another episode. We're going to talk about cannabis. So Delta 8 THC. It's a less potent cousin of famed Delta 9 THC. And according to the Rolling Stone, it's legal to sell in most states. But how does it work? And is there a chance that the DEA could shut it down? So it's actually available. Now, here's what we got. Okay, the National Institute of Health talks about there are at least 144 known cannabinoids isolated from the cannabis plant. And one of them is Delta 9 THC. Okay, it's the primary psychoactive compound known to provide all the stereotypical effects of getting high, or the enterprise effect they all talk about. Now, yet a lesser known cannabinoid with half of that potency is Delta 9. It is not CBD, CBN, CBG, or CBC, which are some of the other cannabinoids out there. Delta 8 is an analog of Delta 9. So it was arguably legalized in December 2018 with the 2018 Farm Bill, or the Hemp Bill they might call it, was passed. But it wasn't until September 2019 that 3 Chai, an online cannabis retailer, became the first company to sell Delta 8 THC cartridges, gummies, tinctures, and concentrates in all the 38 states where it's legal, both online and in retail stores. So again, available all legal states. And their cartridges, which run at 1,000 milliliters, retail around $25 with shipping, making it cheaper than Delta 9, the conventional cartridges you would see for THC out there, and recreational states, or adult use states, we like to call it. Not recreational, adult use. Now, Dr. Peter Grinspoon, who teaches medicine at Harvard Medical School, estimates that Delta 8 has a portion, but not all the psychoactivity as Delta 9. But here's what we're really going to get back to. Let's go down towards the fact of what is happening with the fate of Delta 8 THC. There's a legality, however, that remains complicated. While it's legal if it's derived from hemp, the process most commonly used to produce synthetically altering CBD into Delta 8 THC probably isn't legal because some hemp has THC in it. So this is according to Joseph Holscher. It's a founding member of the Texas Association of Cannabis Lawyers and a longstanding member of NORML's Legal Committee, NORML, the National Organization to Reform Marijuana Laws. If you didn't know, now you know. Now, Holscher goes on to say that, quote, just as many jurisdictions struggle to build the infrastructure to correctly identify legal hemp, few have the ability to correctly establish scientifically how a sample of Delta 8 THC was sourced. The Department of Justice is aware, and they can expect to possibly figure out how they will prosecute these cases. Rolling Stone spoke with a DEA spokesperson about the legality of Delta 8 and the future of it, and the agency is currently undergoing the rulemaking process. Rolling Stone also asked the DEA spokesperson about the issues with Delta 8 THC, where the spokesperson added that, quote, the emergence, and this is something very important to all of you out there, about research, because this was actually, it was disclosed by the DEA spokesperson that the emergence of different marijuana constituents underscores the importance of research. Now, before I get to what they say, research is very important for the cannabis industry because we are looking for something more than a symbolic gesture in a lame duck session of Congress where the MORE Act was passed by the House of Representatives, because we don't see how the Senate is going to pass that bill. And anyway, there's been no further movement of that bill since it was passed. Now, with that said, we also have to take into account what the current installed administration now is saying about cannabis. We don't know what they're saying about it. Now, there's been always talk within Democratic officials about decriminalizing, which is what the MORE Act would do. But what we haven't heard is about the possibility of legalization, which a number of states, I'm sure, say California or New York and other places, Governor Cuomo is actually already sort of giving support for adult use in his state. California obviously would love to be able to get more tax revenue. Gavin Newsom has made that point clear. And other states would feel the same way. At this point, the industry would be a boost to the economy and to really help out in a lot of different areas. But will this administration decide to do that? Are they in support of the cannabis industry? We don't really know that. according to an interview I just had recorded this week, I was listening to a podcast that will be going out in a couple of weeks, or actually next week. One of the people that was actually being asked about the future of the industry when it comes to the Biden-Harris administration, the phrase that was used was cautiously optimistic. And I think that is the exact phrase to say, because we really don't have any transparency as to what's going on. So on Cannabis Radio, I am speaking to some of the people programming on the network, one of our hosts of one of our programs, to go ahead and ask that question, okay, to find out what are people on the ground in D.C. learning about from the constituents there, from the congressman. What are they saying about this? What's actually happening? Now, in some ways, Delta 8 sounds too good to be true, but it isn't. For people who want to feel the psychoactive effects of Delta 9, yet finds it gives them paranoia or anxiety, Delta 8 is a quasi-legal option available online. Quasi-legal option. Unlike Delta 9, Delta 8 is significantly cheaper, making it a viable option for some people looking for a short, uplifting feeling without being intoxicated. But judging by how much attention Delta 8 has been getting by law enforcement, the trend might be short-lived. And of course, this story is telling it at the end of the story. But judging by how much attention there is, the burgeoning success of Delta 8 over the past year, any day can be the cannabinoids last. And that's the story. So we're going to leave it there. Keep an eye on legalization and see what happens about what comes up for the industry going forward, because we don't know what happens to cannabis going forward. Now, again, it can be left alone as a state's issue. And we have now 39 states that have it in some way legalized, medical or adult use. And there are some other options that are made available where, listen, it's not a perfect world, but again, there's a lot of people that can access cannabis. And from the research that has already been done out there, just because it hasn't been done in the United States, it's been done in Israel and in other countries, doesn't mean that they're not credible studies. And we have people that are out there. There's a couple of doctors on Cannabis Radio we interviewed a couple times already. Dr. Samoon Ahmad and Dr. Kevin Hill. I believe they're from Harvard Medical School and NYU University of Medicine, respectively. I forget which ones. But they wrote a book called the Medical Marijuana Handbook. And it's, again, two reputable doctors that wrote a comprehensive book to give a full understanding, a good clinical understanding of cannabis and all the different things that it can be used for. And the understanding of the plant. That's very important. And it's more credible research and fact-finding and studies like doctors like these two and the studies that are being done like Sue Sisley and other people in various different locations where they're trying to go and get the product to sample, to experiment, to test, and then move forward. These things we need to have happen. So anyway, keep an eye on the industry. I'll be doing it right here on When I'm Not Podcasting. Until next time.